is the competitive nature of sales and recruiting and why this is so important to your business. Our first speaker that is going to come on tonight is Dr. Joan Hockenstad. You saw her on the board. And Dr. Joan is a family-focused business owner. And this is what Dr. Joan has to say about herself. She has 2 dogs, 2 birds, and 2 kids. Okay, well, one of those kids is actually her husband. However, she says he still acts like a second child. I love that because my wife said the same thing about me. So she got rid of me. Dr. Joan is a retired shrink. That's her own words, with a PhD in psychology, and now owns several businesses, including a franchise business, a real estate brokerage, and numerous investments. Joan is a licensed real estate broker, life insurance agent, and is a field partner with UFinancial Freedom. And Joan was with us all the way back in the time of 2007. So she's been around for a while. She's seen quite a bit, and I don't mean that to try to age her. I just do know Dr. Joan has been on a lot of calls with us in the past. She's up and coming again with her numbers and is going to be on more calls. She always has great information. So I'm going to unmute Dr. Joan here. And Dr. Joan, are you there? For some reason, it's not letting me unmute you, Dr. Joan.
There you go. I'm here. Can you hear me?
We got you. Dr. Joan, it is your floor to talk about the nature of competition in business, sales, and recruiting.
Excellent. Well, I have to say thank you so much for having me on the call. I'm very grateful for that, so thank you so much. And anywho, my husband really is my second child, so I think he was actually my first child. Nonetheless, we were talking about competition tonight, and I have to say competition is truly one of the most important things that you can do for you and you can do for your team. Now, that said, competition is only an incredible tool if it is used correctly. So I was asked to talk about the psychology behind competition first. So I'm going to go ahead and get a little nerdy on you. Forgive me for my nerdiness. It just comes naturally for me. So, but I will come around and bring it back around and incorporate to things that you can actually incorporate into your business today to have a healthy competition and have a healthy competitive environment. So remember that people who are motivated by competition are motivated for at least 3 main reasons. And remember, if you're going to do something, you have to remember the motivation behind it. Why would somebody want to do it? Number 1, competition allows them to satisfy the need to win. Number 2, the competition provides the opportunity or reason for improving their performance. And number 3, competition motivates them to put forth greater effort that can result in high or higher levels of performance. So in other words, competition can increase motivation, improve productivity and performance, and provide accountability and validation. The reality is that you can find competition in everything. We are naturally born to be competitive. In fact, if we were not competitive, we did not survive. It's a natural survival rate. So you're actually going to see it as an essential force in maintaining productive and efficient economic markets. It plays a role in domestic politics, foreign relations, sports, and even human quest for love. So, in fact, some scholars argue that competitiveness is a biological trait that co-evolved with the basic need for human survival. Despite these evolutionary impacts of competition and the basic need for competition for survival, competitiveness is actually considered to be a personality trait. So, which is strange because actually this is one personality trait that is not standard. It's not stable across one's life. You can have some situations where you're competitive, other situations where you're not competitive, and you can have more competitive thoughts and approaches in one situation than in other situations. So competition, although a personality trait, can actually change in different situations just depending on what's going on in your life and what's going on in the situation. Competition is actually deemed to be either extrinsic or intrinsic. And that's kind of important to go back to the motivation behind having competition. You have to realize that some people have it as extrinsic and some people have it intrinsic. So what does that mean? Extrinsic means that their motivation to adopt a behavior or to win is really sourced externally rather than internally. So you do something for the reward or you do something for the result. You do something for that recognition. That's how most people that are competitive think and behave. Some people, though, are more intrinsic. So their motivation is actually more internal. It's about doing the right thing. So an agent who's really kind of focused on the team or increasing sales solely because of the crusade of buying back America one family at a time, they're really strongly focused on that intrinsic motivation. So your goal is to really be able to motivate people on both levels. Unfortunately, though, remember that too much competition and external incentives can actually crowd out or ruin people's intrinsic motivation to do good. So too much competition can actually be negative. You have to find the right balance. So not everything can be a competition. You have to remember the goal of the competition is what? Increase motivation, improve productivity, performance, and provide accountability and validation. In order for this to happen, you have to have healthy competitions. So the rules need to be defined up front, rules stuck to throughout the duration of the competition, and access to information and resources need to be equal for all people participating in that competition. Without this, it's really deemed unfair and will cause animosity and disdain. So you have to be transparent, equal, and honest. When team members understand how to have a healthy debate and share their opinions openly, competition becomes a catalyst for innovation and improvement. So truly, competition is critical and extremely important in the business environment. But there's certain things that you need to do to have a more productive competition and really not create that toxic environment. So what are some things that you can do to have a healthy competition? Number one, teach and promote that healthy conflict. Pardon me. Sorry, I was just on a trip and I have an 8-year-old Petri dish who decided to get me infected with his Petri dish stuff, with his germs. So I might cough in your ear. I apologize. Again, you need to teach and promote healthy conflict. People don't always get along, and actually that's not a bad thing. It's okay to have conflict. It's okay to have disagreements. It's okay to have different viewpoints on things. The key is to make sure that you teach people to have a healthy conversation about it, to have a culture in which healthy debate and ability to share opinions becomes the forum. Not to have an argument, not to get into a yelling match, but to actually have an open, honest conversation so that everybody can improve and everybody can do better with what they're doing and in this situation. Your goal is to create that out-of-the-box thinking and collaboration, which comes with open discussion. Number two, you need to reward your best performers. Now, there's going to be an asterisk to this. Of course, there's always exceptions to every rule, but you do have to reward your best your best performers. Nothing demotivates people more than feeling like you don't appreciate them and you don't appreciate excellence. So if you reward everybody the same, then how can people differentiate themselves? If you reward everybody equally, then you create an environment of mediocrity. You have to you have to reward those that are performing. Now, I'm not saying to ignore people who are performing but are not at the top of the totem pole. That would be absolutely one of the worst things that you can do. You cannot ignore people just because they are performing at the top levels of the stars, so to speak. So active agents still deserve your attention, but you do need to reward the performers that are doing that excellent work, those stars that are doing the competition and winning the competition. And you should do it publicly so that other agents can see what's possible. You want to help motivate them to be able to do something more. And some people don't know that more can be done until they see that somebody else is doing it. So allow them to see that. Remember, again, don't just give your top performers a high five. Encourage others to learn from what they're doing and what they're doing right. Also remember that stars are important, but so are others. Constantly appreciating a small number of agents while neglecting others really is going to trigger a lot of unwanted effects, so you don't want to do that. If you're constantly rewarding the same person, constantly highlighting the same person, then other people are going to be thinking, well, gosh, I can never do that. I'm never going to be able to do that, so why should I even try? So you have to be able to have competition that's going to allow other people to be rewarded and recognized as well. So think out of the box. Come up with some creative ideas where even the person that just began can win in that competition. Number three, one of the best competitions is not necessarily with other people. It's actually competing with yourself, trying to do better than what you did before. So remember that competition shouldn't happen just with others. It should also be for the agents to compete against yourself and your previous efforts. In one of the businesses that I own, we have 7 employees, not a huge amount, but just 7. And so one of the things that we do is we actually look at having a competition amongst the employees based on pardon me, overall improvement. Not specifically their numbers that they're doing, but we look month over month, how did each person improve? And the person that has the highest improvement gets a reward, and they get publicly recognized. So it's not about competing against other people, it's about competing against themselves and improving themselves accordingly. So this kind of, we also look at it and reward people that are helping other employees to do better as well. So it's not just about focusing on bettering themselves, it's about focusing on helping other people also. So this naturally creates a friendly environment amongst the employees, and they naturally want to help each other too. The goal is to continuously raise the bar. Now, number 4, leaders need to give honest feedback. This is not easy to do. I'll be honest. It's very difficult to say, gosh, that did not go well. You really need to work on that. You really need to do better on that. It is what it is. It's very difficult to do, but it's a requirement. It's a necessity. So you need to sandwich that feedback. Start with a positive, go to the negative, end with a positive. But you have to give feedback. Otherwise, people don't know how to do better. They don't know how what they're doing is contributing to the greater good. They need that feedback. Number 5, don't worry, I'm getting done. Find the opportunities to play. Competition is meant to be fun, and people need to enjoy it. People need to look at it as something that they want to do. Think back if you were in sports or if you were in a music activity. I was in sports and I was in music throughout my entire life. Both of them are strong in competition. Both cater and foster self-motivated individuals who want to win and know how to help one another achieve that common goal. They support each other also while they are competing. These games and these industries, the music and the sports, they teach each other to be competitive, but they also teach each other, more importantly, how to have fun while you're competing and how to enjoy it. So it's about creating an environment where we can all have fun. Remember, it's a game, and make a game out of it. Everybody loves playing games, so have fun and play. Also remember that not everybody is competitive. Remember, we said that it is a personality trait. So sometimes people are just naturally not competitive. They may be better, they be motivated better with other approaches. And so too much competition may actually be demotivating. So those who are not competitive can benefit from that competition still, though. They can benefit by watching the winners and do what they do. So as you create competition, remember the goals is to increase motivation, improve productivity and performance, and provide accountability and validation. All of this is going to result in increased sales, increased personal production, increased team members, enhanced team cohesion and collaboration and team building, create an atmosphere in which teams and individual agents are helping each other. But in order for this to happen, leaders have to remember to pass out rewards quickly and efficiently. There's nothing worse than winning a competition and then never getting your prize or feeling like you have to chase after what you earned. And you need to remember that too much competition can be stifling. Not everybody is competitive. You don't always have to shoot for the sky or reinvent the wheel. Sometimes, in fact, recognition is more important and can create more competition than monetary prizes, so it doesn't have to be monetary. You don't always provide the necessary resources for agents and teams to be successful. And remember, competition is about creating and building your skill and your development and fostering relationship building between the agents and teams. When doing the competition, make sure you are not overselling or overemphasizing the reward. Otherwise, once it's gone, the agent will stop performing. Instead, make sure your agents and your team are buying into the overall mission, that you're really tying that reward into the overall mission of the company, the overall mission of your team. So remember to be transparent, equal, and honest, and most importantly, have fun with that competition.
Dr. Joan, I tell you what, that was a lot of information, and that was phenomenal information. I love having you on this calls. It's so good to hear you on the call again, and just thank you for taking your time coming off vacation and making sure you were here. So thank you very much, Dr. Joan, and we're going to go ahead and mute you, and we're going to bring on our next presenter.
I would like to say, Joan, that was really, I've been around this industry a long time, been in business sales, competition and the reasons for it. that was really a phenomenal outline of what competition is, from self-competition to team to, being out in the public to doing something special. And you made a great point there at the end that recognition of people is one of the greatest motivators that we have. And, one of the reasons that we talk about income, or we talk about production, or we talk about recruits, is to recognize those people. I think you just did a great job of laying that out. People should listen to this over and over and over again as they try to learn the business, they try to understand competition and what it does and what are the true meanings of it. And it's not just something to push people to something, but it's helped them to stretch and to do more than what they feel they're capable of, and showing recognition for that. And I agree 1,000%. You have to find a way that involves and includes everyone, but absolutely recognize those people who are doing something special, but don't make anyone feel left out. So, great points, phenomenal. Thank you for doing that. Hey, the next guy that we've got coming on, I've known for many, many years now. Probably Rich is one of the strongest competitors that I have ever been around. I've been around a few in my day. I'm a competitor. I love competition. It drives me. It forces me to do things that I may not normally do. I just, if I see my name on the leaders board or something, I strive to be the best that I can be. And Rich is that kind of person. He wants to win. He's willing to pay the price, do whatever it takes. And so, Rich, we just wanted you to share with us tonight. You've been in business a long time. Without a doubt, you've been a competitor. What are the things that you feel help a person to become better and to strive? And how does competition do that, whether individually or whether it's in a team type format? How do you see that coming into play?
Well, it keeps muting me and unmuting me, so I'm not sure if you hear me or not. So
We got you, Rich, but your that headset's breaking up. You're picking up some weird background stuff, but go on.
let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can do here, guys. Hold on one second, please. All right, let me know if that's any better at all.
A lot better.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate the kind words, and I'll keep it abbreviated. I know we don't have a lot of time, and we want to leave certainly opportunity for Tom to speak and for some wrap-up. But a couple of things hit me. I think Joe made a lot of fantastic points. I think methodologically speaking, that resonates with me. A lot of those kind of psychological perspectives I share, because I think often things aren't as simple as they seem. The truth of the matter is, somebody told me this many years ago in my career early on, that it really is an inside job. And I think that that's true with a lot of things. And, you look, it's been said many times that success leaves clues. I think there probably is a big majority of the people, certainly in the room, that are proctoring this call, but even on the listening audience that are familiar with Think and Grow Rich. And one of the whole bases of that book was studying qualities of successful people, because success, in fact, leaves clues. But just like success becomes a pattern, so can failure. And I think that, unfortunately, I'd say that many of the people can relate to this, that we've all had peaks and valleys, and we've had both, great and difficult times in our life, personally and professionally. And that's important, because the fact of the matter is that, we have seasons in our life. And I share that with you in a really authentic manner, because, we sometimes we feel like we're on top of the mountain, sometimes we're not. But one of the most important things about leadership, and I think it's really in the operative word itself, but it's to lead. And, many of us grew up in the sort of the fraternity, if you will, of Art Williams. And one of the great things he always said, leadership is everything. And Steve still repeats that to this day, and it really is true. It's much like the attitude even from a consumer transaction. People, they don't want to be sold, but they do want to own. And people don't want to follow, but they truly deep down do want to be led. And so be somebody that's deserving of that. And I think as you look through the leaders' bulletins, if it doesn't burn you just a little bit to see one of your competitors, as much as you respect them, to be beating you at any point ever, I think that's a perennial attribute of any really truly successful person, and certainly leadership. And it's not an arrogant thing. It's not a cocky thing. It's that you've got to lead from the front. There's a Latin word for it. I used to be able to say it better, but it's really leading from the front and setting that example. I think the gentleman that's going to speak after me, Tom Keener, is probably the epitome of that. And, I know this is a little bit of a touchy thing in this day and age where, politics is complicated. We're a very politically correct culture, but the fact is you're not always going to be everybody's favorite person when you're leading. You know, I can be honest, I have amazing parents. I'm thankful to have grown up in a great family, but I didn't like my parents all the time. And there was probably not too many kids in the world or too many parents that at some point didn't have their kids tell them they hate them. And it hurts. It hurts bad. And, you know, you think you just want to crawl into a ball. And you've been involved in competitive athletics, it's the same way. You know, I don't think I ever had a coach in my life that I didn't hate their guts at some point or another until we won. And then all of a sudden they're my best friend and the person I respect most in the world. And having lost a parent, as many of you perhaps have, we might have felt that way about our parents until they're gone. And we look back and realize, wow, you know, what a great example we had. And I think leadership is very much like that. And so I wanted to kind of take a little bit more of that slant to it, because the truth of the matter is that, you know, it's never been that important for me to be just liked. It's a great thing. I think everybody enjoys it. There's not a person that doesn't appreciate and enjoy being liked, if you will. But being respected and trusted is much more important to me. And I think that when you take on the role of being a leader, it's not for the faint of heart sometimes, because you've got to make unpopular decisions. There are times you have to be confrontational, no matter how powerful you try to be. And it's an important thing to recognize that if you want to lead, that's going to mean that you're also going to have a target on your back, not just among friendly competitors, but you know, we live in a culture where we celebrate success, and we unfortunately sometimes overly idolize athletes and performers and musicians and entertainers and celebrities and so forth. And it allows the average person to live vicariously through the success of somebody else without having to put themselves out there at risk. Yet when that person has a failure or comes crashing down, they love to revel in the fact that, see, they're no better than me. And that same ideology translates to business and in life and in many areas where you're successful. And I think that that's just something you've got to be okay with. But I think ultimately the reason that it won't bother you is because it really is, as cagey as it may sound, at the end of the day, the person you're competing with most is you. It's you against you. Because at the end of the day, you're fighting for the only kind of respect that honestly really matters in this world, and that's self-respect. And so I think it was just a couple of the thoughts around my mind. I know Tom's going to have some great tidbits. I want to leave him all the time he needs. And Dr. Joan gave a really forensic and detailed intellectual analysis of it. So I want to give a little bit different perspective that I think that whether you're at the top of your game or the worst, just remember, when things are good, they're never as good as they seem. But thankfully, when they're bad, they're never as hopeless as they seem. You have the ability to start up and restart over anytime you want. And it's really the person that has the ability to not quit. You know, I have a little girl who I'm the most thankful dad in the world, and she's fantastic. And she's just turned into this little superstar in every single thing she does. And I always taught her from a very young age, 3, 4, 5 years old, I said, no matter what you do, I want you to commit to it. You give it everything you've got, and you don't quit. And to this day, that's always her little adage, you know. And I think that that's important for all of us. It's certainly a great reminder for myself, and it was a lot of stuff that was on my heart. And I hope that it helps. And I think ultimately, the last comment I'd give you is that, you know, you want to create an environment, you want to foster a culture where you're leading by example, but you're not leading everybody behind. You know, that's not leadership either. That's a matter of looking for the people and remembering that we're on top. We were at the bottom at some point. And remembering to give that helping hand and to show people it's possible. Because sometimes people get so left behind that they just give up and throw in the towel and don't think they can ever recover that distance. And that's not true leadership. And it's an adage, and it's been used probably to nauseum, but the acronym TEAM really is powerful. Together, each achieves more. You're able to divide the task and multiply the success, and that's why recognition and acknowledgement and all of those things are important, because everybody's got that sign in their chest, like we talk about, that says, you know, give me some validation, tell me that I'm special, but be authentic. One of the things I really admire and I've always really respected about Steve Smith is I don't think there's anybody you'll ever meet that makes you feel better about yourself than Steve. But it's not a lot of hot air. I mean, he's authentic and sincere. And so I think you've got to be genuine. You've got to be the genuine article. People can smell it out if you're not. If I don't like your shirt, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you I like your shirt. But I might say I like your shoes. And I think a lot of times things in life are like that. And there are people we work with from a leadership standpoint that it's really hard to look at the good sometimes. But there is good in everyone. And I think having people reach their greatest potential and showing them that example is possible and helping to know that they've got that support, that's really what leadership's all about. And that's where you create that friendly, competitive environment. But in the same token, you've got to compete with yourself, because you can't ever expect anybody to be able to be on the same page and at the same intensity as you. But you'll find that you'll get enough of those people that do recognize and respect that leadership, and they'll follow suit. So hope that helps, guys. That was my thoughts for the night.
Hey, Rich, that's phenomenal. And I knew when we asked you if you would share a little bit about competition and how that works in our lives and business and building a team. I mean, I have no doubt you never let us down with words of wisdom and some knowledge and some experiences in life that can help us all. So I really appreciate what you shared with us. And you're right. It all kind of really starts with self-competition. We've got to be better. We've got to look at ourselves, inside out, and how can we be better? How can we perform better? How can we be better to other people? And how can we be that leader? Because when people are watching you and they see how you compete, they see how, you want to, it's great to be number one, but, you can't leave people bloody and bleeding on the side of the road along the way. You got to build people up and get the best out of them as you're leading down the road, and then win and be number one as other people are striving to do the best that they can. So thank you. That's great information. Tom's going to share some words of wisdom with us. And sometimes in a company and businesses, folks, I know how it is. You got a guy like Tom, and sometimes people might say, Tom Keener, man, I hear that name all the time. Tom, I hear that name all the time. Well, folks, when you're a tremendous person, a tremendous leader, you're setting the pace, you're showing other people the way, you deserve those accolades, you deserve those things, you earn them. And Tom and Sue certainly earn those things. They don't tell anyone to respect them. They work hard at having people respect them through who they are, what they do, what they say, how they act, the kind of people they are in public. But, some people might look at Tom and his personality and say, Tom, I don't know, he seems kind of mild. So let me tell you something. He's not mild. He is a competitor to the core, and don't ever mistake that he is not. He loves winning. He strives to win. He strives to be the best, but he also wants others to win. So I wanted him to come and share a few things about that, and also to kind of give you a little update, because I think Tom's showing some tremendous leadership right now in what he's doing and showing the way. So Tom, if you would, you got the next few minutes. The time's yours.
All right, thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I'm a little overwhelmed, honestly. Joan, you did an unbelievable job. You say it in ways that I can't say it. My vocabulary won't go there. I had written down the why and the how of a base shop, build competition and what to do. And because of the time frame and the information that Joan went over, and also Rich, two unbelievable people that know how to compete and know how to reach the top in leadership. So I'm going to wipe away the why. I'm not even going to go over the why. It's just be redundant, and they did a fantastic job with that. I will talk a little bit about the how, and Steve, I wrote down a lot of information here. Probably could have done a whole hour of this and had nothing to say, one of those again, right? I'm going to share a little bit of what I wrote down. Hopefully people can feel, my heart here. I always struggle with that situation because I want people to take it the right way. And then I'll finish up with a little update for, where I'm at and I think where we're heading as a company and as a team here. I learned all my life, and Joan, you said it correctly. I just wanted to be somebody. And Rich, we all do have that thing across our chest that says, make me feel special. At least that's how I grew up. And I remember being in one company, and I was a competitive person. I always kept quiet. I didn't want to get people aroused and all excited about compete with me. I just wanted to knock them out from the outside, And I learned to be real competitive and look at leader bulletins and just compete. I was always wanting to compete. And I learned, and folks, this is so true. And I say it sometimes, and I know people take it the wrong way, but it's been factual. You can beat 50% of the people. You can absolutely destroy them by outworking them. It amazes me. Friday lunchtime, the phone stops ringing. People stop working. They stop reaching out. They don't work Friday night. They don't work on the weekends. I always felt I could, because my skill set maybe wasn't always there, I always felt I could outperform other people because they were taking off the weekends and they took off half a day Friday. And I just, look, numbers work. And if you can outwork people, 50% of the people you outwork, you'll outachieve them, all right? The other 40%, just by being a good person, you can beat them. By having integrity, by treating people right, by having principles, you'll beat 90% of the people. The other 10% I've learned over the years, and I honestly know this, if you're going to reach the top 10% in your company, it's a dogfight. There are people that have good skill sets, have the integrity, have the knowledge, have everything, and if you're going to beat those people, like I said, it's a fight. And, you know, bring it on at that point, and that's a fun situation to be in. I myself, over the years, I've always been a gym rat. First in, last one to leave, because I needed that. I wanted to be a leader. I want to be recognized. And I know when we do calls, whether it be the team calls, training calls, you know, some people get there early to the call, stay late, just don't want to, they want to soak up the information. They want to compete. I love that. Be an example, set an example. And I've always learned and tried to teach people the learning principles. People don't know how to win, and you have to teach people the principles of winning. But Steve, I decided a couple weeks ago that the company, look, I looked at the numbers from, you know, the old days and the base shop numbers of recruits, and I know where we're headed. And I said, okay, it's time to get back out there and start building a big base shop, and importantly, teach first-generation people how to build a base shop again. So I went out a couple weeks ago and just put myself out on the line because I wanted to build locally. I know it's easy sometimes to get on the phone and talk to friends and all that, and I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. Go do it. But, folks, there's so many more rewards when you build locally. Unbelievable what you can accomplish, because you can look people in the eye, you can touch them on their shoulder, you can bless people's lives so much more in person than you can over a telephone or over a computer. So a couple weeks ago, I decided by myself to go out into my community and, you know, be vulnerable, make mistakes, have fun, and just see what happens. And last Friday, we did our first lunch, Leverage and Learn, and we had tremendous success with those over the years. And we had 20 people show up at an insurance office, and they were mostly realtors and loan officers. And it was a fun meeting. Heidi came down from Northern Virginia, Gene Harris came down, and we sit there and took care of that presentation. Folks, I'm disappointed that I'm down here in Florida. I got here yesterday, or this morning, excuse me, and I'm disappointed tomorrow they're doing a second one without me. You know, can you believe that people will do something without me? So tomorrow Heidi will do that with Gene, and then the following Friday we're going to do another one. But folks, we have people. I have one person that came. Listen to this. He came, met him for the first time last Friday. He was so excited. We ended it at 1. He said, look, I'm ready to get started. At 3 o'clock, I was in his real estate office, and I sit there till 4 o'clock. Today, he purchased the program, and he has 5 people coming tomorrow. And that's the kind of thing, and that's not the only success we're having. That is what you want to do. You're looking for people that want more, that can be more, and you just go out and love all those people, make them feel special. But I'm so daggone excited. I'm looking forward very much to getting back next week. We'll get back probably Monday or Tuesday, and I will be out there Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in my community inviting people to Friday's presentation. I'm so excited about this, Steve. I see it happening huge, and we're going to have a phenomenal success at building base shops to the numbers that we had many years ago of just loving on people, recognizing people, having people achieve, and having them become financially free through this unbelievable opportunity we have to dream of becoming debt-free and helping other people. And that's the crusade, folks. And that's what, we don't sell software. We sell a dream of becoming financially free and helping other people do that. So, Steve, that's what I wanted to share, and it's right at the top of the hour, so I think that we'll end it with that. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Hey, Tom, thank you so much for sharing that. You're absolutely right. Hey, folks, we've truly been fed tonight by some great leaders in our company, and this is the reason that we're so fortunate that we're going to see great things happen with United Financial Freedom, and coming together, finding more leaders, building them up, producing them. We're part of something special, and we all know that. So, hey, fantastic job tonight. We appreciate you doing this. Folks, be sure that you let people know about this call every Tuesday night. I mean, every week I feel so good about what we're doing and presenting and delivering to you. These people out there, these leaders that are on these calls, you are being fed by people who are doing it, not maybe, but that are doing it. So really encourage people to get on this call. There's not enough money that they can pay for this. I tell you, it's free for the taking. So we're excited about the things that are happening. We're going to see you next Tuesday night. Thanks for being on the call. Mac, thank you.
Hey, just to everybody out there, a great job on the call this evening, and let's keep our foot on the gas all the way through February, all the way through April for the promo. And as Steve and I always say, let's get out there and do it big. Let's get out there and do it right. But at the very least, let's get out there and do something right now. This is Mac and Steve saying bye-bye for now.
Good night, everyone. Have a great evening. Thanks, everyone, for the call.